Did Spencer Rattler do enough in the Saints season opener to impress and kind of extend the leash in terms of how long he'll play as the starting quarterback for the Saints? We'll talk about that right here on the Straight Up Saints podcast.
You're listening to the Straight Up Saints podcast.
What is up, Who Dat Nation? Welcome inside another edition of the Straight Up Saints podcast. I'm your host, Chris Roosevelt, and as always, the Straight Up Saints podcast is brought to you by Scott Fickner Injury Lawyers. If you've been injured in any kind of accident, car, truck, 18-wheeler, hurt offshore, Scott Fickner handles it all. You give him a call at 504-500-1111 for a free consultation. Yes, a free consultation. They'll always fight for the win. The Saints did fight for the win, but didn't end up getting it in week one, losing 20-13 to the Arizona Cardinals. But for me, I think for a team that is in a rebuilding phase, what you're trying to find are the small wins, a young player taking that next step in year two, a rookie really elevating his performance over the course of the season. And through 1 week, the sample size is so small that it's tough to go through that. But I think one of the main takeaways, especially with the season opener, is evaluating Spencer Rattler, the good and the bad, and kind of go from there. So let's get the kind of brief thoughts out, and then I'll dive deep into the numbers and what kind of stood out to me about Rattler. But the way I look at it for Spencer Rattler, I thought he was perfectly fine. I don't think he did anything overwhelmingly positive, but he most definitely, in my opinion, didn't do anything overwhelmingly negative. And I think for Rattler, the biggest takeaway I could say, and the biggest compliment I can give him, is the 2-minute drive at the end of the game where had Juwan Johnson made that final catch, and I'll pull it up right here. If Juwan Johnson was able to come down with this throw right here, maybe the Saints go for 2 for the win, or they kick an extra point and send this thing into overtime. I think that 2-minute drill, he was excellent. He was surgical. And like I said, the biggest compliment I can give Rattler is when the Saints got on the field with 2 minutes left and he was under center, I was pretty calm. I wasn't worried at all. I felt like Spencer was going to get them in a good spot. And I do think that is a testament to what he's been able to do in those type of situations. I think back to last year's game against the Washington Commanders where the Saints went for 2 for the win. Didn't end up getting it, but he put them in position to score the game-tying touchdown, and they went for the win, and they didn't get it. And I think of the second preseason game this year where they go on to have a game-tying drive with Spencer Rattler. So I think there's a lot of, when it comes to having moxie and having that kind of quiet confidence, I do think Spencer Rattler has that in those 2-minute drills. So I thought he was outstanding at the end of the game. I thought fourth quarter overall, I thought he played really well. The two things for me that stand out, and I don't want to say this is all on Spencer Rattler. I think the Arizona Cardinals made him play this style, although I do think he is more than comfortable doing that. A lot of just short yardage stuff. So he threw the ball 46 times. He had an average yard per attempt of 4.6. That's very low. Like, just to put into perspective how low that number is, Andy Dalton in 2022 had 7.6 yards per attempt, and Derek Carr over the last 2 seasons had 7.3 yards per attempt. So 4.65 yards per attempt for Rattler, extremely low. You want to be able to push the ball down the field. Now, I do think that Arizona wanted it to be that way. They didn't want to give any of the cheap, deep touchdowns up, and they wanted Rattler to kind of just take what they gave him and go from there, which is why you have the low yards per attempt. It's also why you have the 46 throws, which I do think is something the Saints are going to have to figure out. I think the game script kind of got them away from the run, which is why Rattler threw as much as he did. But I don't think Rattler throwing the ball 46 times, and instead of a knock on him, it's just the truth of the matter. I don't think having 46 throws a game from Rattler is the recipe for success for the Saints. That said, again, I thought he was really good in the 2-minute. I thought he was really, really good at lowering the numbers of sacks that he took. So last year, I thought there were a lot of times where Spencer got sacked and people wanted to blame the O-line, but I thought he just held on to the ball too long and he was making mistakes. He got sacked 1 time on Sunday. And I thought he did a really, really nice job of getting the ball out quick, reading the pressure. And that is growth. That's development. So I thought Spencer did a really good job with that. Now, the other thing that I think is interesting is, so he doesn't have a turnover, which is good. You always want to be turnover free. Did have an interception that got called back. So obviously that's not what us Saints fans want in terms of putting the ball in harm's way, although it did get called back. And there was interception was dropped. Interceptions get dropped all the time. Doesn't go down as a pick for him. So being turnover free, definitely good. That's what you want. even though he had one and it got called back, doesn't matter. He was turnover free, and that's what you want from the Saints. So I thought Rattler did a good job taking care of the football. I thought he was more than willing to take what the defense gave him. Counterpoint will be it's not sustainable for a course of a season, as we saw today. But look, I think in terms of looking like, and if you guys want to take this as an insult, that's fine. I don't think it's an insult personally. I thought Rattler played like a very good game manager on Sunday. Took what the defense gave him, didn't force the issue. And yeah, look, the Saints came up short. They lost 20-13, but in that brief moment, it looked like Rattler put them in position to either go for a game-tying extra point or a game-winning two-point conversion. And given where the Saints are at right now in their rebuild, and given the state of the roster and how poorly at times that game was going, the fact that they had a chance to maybe steal a win there, it's all you can really ask for the Saints. So I thought overall, if it's a thumbs up, thumbs down type of world, I would say thumbs up for the way Rattler played. Again, doesn't mean he was great, but if you're saying, oh, well, does this loss hurt where he stands, and if the Saints need to go to Shuck and all that, no. Look, at some point, Shuck will most likely play this year. I've been adamant about that. I think that the Saints drafted him 40th because they want to play him at some point this year, but I didn't walk away from the Saints' loss on Sunday going, you know what they really needed? They really needed to start Shuck today. That's not the sense I got. The Saints lost for a plethora of reasons. They were undisciplined with 13 penalties. They couldn't get off the field on third down, especially in the first half of the game. Offensively, just couldn't get anything going. Missed a 37-yard field goal, so that falls on Groupie's shoulders. So a lot of factors as to why the Saints lost this game. I didn't come away thinking bad quarterback play is why they lost, because frankly, I didn't think they got bad quarterback play. I think they just got okay quarterback play. So can Spencer Rattler build off that? That is the question, and I think that's going to tell us how much longer he'll be able to have this job. If he goes out there week 2 against a 49ers defense that only gave up 13 points in week 1, and he plays well, great sign for him. And if not, then we'll evaluate. But he'll still be the starter regardless for at least the next couple of games, and I think today was a good, Sunday was a really good showing for him overall. So let me know your thoughts, guys, in the comment section below. Did you like what you saw from Spencer? Do you like what you saw from Spencer Rattler? Do you feel like his performance was inconsistent? What are your thoughts, good or bad? Put them in the comment section below. And also, while I'm at it, before I let you guys go, there's a big discussion on Twitter about Juwan Johnson and the costly drop he had, and Lord knows it was costly. What were your thoughts? Did you come away from that game where that drop completely sold you out on Juwan, or are you kind of in the camp of, he did have 8 catches for 76 yards. He was a big focal point in the offense. I don't know. I'm willing to see what he does for the rest of the year, because I got a lot during the post-game live stream of negativity, and I am curious where Saints fans are at. So let me know in the comment section below on that, but obviously the main focus, Spencer Rattler. So anyway, guys, we'll have more content coming up later this week here at Buku Media, so make sure to subscribe to the YouTube page. And as always, stay tuned for more from the Straight Up Saints podcast, the destination for the Who Dat Nation.